All right. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Santos and Marcus today with episode 17, Marcus? 17. All right.
17.
And we have a special guest with us today. You already put our socials up on there. That's nice. We have niddddo. Nid, if you want to share how you say your last name for those out there, please do so.
Ovatnatson.
Simple, right? Should have been able to say that the first time.
It's really not that bad if you break it down. It's just like a few syllables.
Um, so I just want to give our amateur crowd here. This is amateur hour. I just want to give them a little background on who you are, and I'm going to let you run with it and tell us your backstory. Um, it was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes ago, right after Throw Down the Mountain. We were talking about some going ons in the FPO field. I saw your name, and that's when I was like, I know her. Like in the middle of our podcast, I said, I want to reach out and see if we can get her on here. I met you through the collecting pages and through Mike Gambini, and then it was really awesome that we became friends. And I've seen kind of your journey as you post and share where you came from. So let's give the folks a little bit of background and how you got started in disc golf and where you're at now.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I've been playing now for 3 years. I started in February 2020. So really before disc golf for like 14 years, I played beach volleyball super competitively. Kind of tournaments every weekend, just like I am with disc golf now. But like right before the pandemic, they were taking down all of the nets to try to keep people off of the courts. So basically, February went on a date to Picnic Island in Tampa, Florida, with a few DX discs. I feel like that's how everyone's story starts. It's like some DX discs that we don't even know where they came from. And then we just kind of chucked a few out there and then just really fell in love with it. We're kind of like the type where when you do something, you want to know like how it works. We can't just go out and just toss the disc everywhere and then just be okay with how it's going, like diving from bush to bush. So we pulled up YouTube and we started watching videos on how to throw them, and then it gets really addicting from that point because then you keep wanting to try it, keep wanting to practice, make things work, and um, the rest is kind of history. So I've been playing ever since 2020. Eventually, completely stopped playing beach volleyball and shifted to disc golf. Um, yeah, and played the first tournament about a year later in 2021, and now 2023. I started my first tournament actually in 2021. I think I played FA2 for a few tournaments, then FA1, and then near the last half of last year, started playing FPO. So now it's like disc golf is yeah, it's what we do every weekend and every chance we can.
Looks like you've been
So,
killing it, FPO. I was just able to pull it up. Marcus researched it a little too. I don't know how happy or how I don't know how to bring it up, but I do see a 984 there. That's really close to that 1,000 rated round. So congrats on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
I personally don't know how tough it is to get up there near the 1,000 yet. I don't get that close. I think Marcus hasn't hit his yet either, but I do know it's tough, and I know he celebrated the first
no.
time. Being newer people to the sport, when you get close to 1,000, that's a nice goal to have.
Yeah, yeah, that one felt good. It's honestly been a little bit rough for my kind of ratings and rounds ever since near the end of last year. I've been in a little bit of a rut, to be completely honest, but um, I kind of got to a point where I was throwing pretty well middle beginning of last year, but I got to a point where I do a lot of videos of myself, of my form and of practicing, and I feel like that's one of the best ways to get better. Because how you feel when you throw is just really different from how it actually looks. You think you're doing one thing and it's something else. And I got to a point where I was like, I want to do better. Like I'm always trying to improve, but I was like, no, I like really want to do some stuff to get better. So just kind of really tried to revamp a lot of my form, and it did impact a lot of, I said like tournament play and kind of confidence along with that. And there are a lot of big tournaments kind of back to back locally. So it's been something I've been working on to just try to climb back and get that confidence. So when I do get those good rounds, like that 984 round, it feels a little extra good. Um, so
I bet.
hopefully a sign that I'm coming back. But
So, can you tell us just a little bit more
Yeah,
about that journey for your disc golf? I'm sorry, Marcus. Did you have something?
I was just gonna add that that's a feeling that I empathize with completely. Is that you got to get worse to get better sometimes. That's what I'm going through right now. Those high rounds feel great, but then that second tournament round comes and you don't feel confident and you feel the lows.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that's a lot of the big difference between kind of the amateur level and then when you get to the pro level, it's consistency, right? That's what's gonna make or break your rating a lot of times if you have a rating goal to get better. So when I was trying to hit 900 for a rating, what holds us back is you shoot like a 905 and then the next round you shoot say 850, right? It just keeps holding you back. It's that consistency from tournament to tournament. And I think when I finally hit 900 last year, it was because I was shooting consistently good rounds. Everything was above 900. So then when I got back into this little rut, I was doing that same thing again. I was shooting above 900, I was shooting 880, above 900, and then, 885. So it's really, I think that's one of the kind of the big differences. You see the pros, you see the ones on tour, and they're consistent. So I think that's something to really strive for.
So, what I was gonna say is your journey. Were
Mm-hmm.
you were street team before you went to? Well, how did your journey happen? Because I do remember the announcement for Team Discraft and how amazing that was. But there, you
Yeah,
were level below that or something
yeah.
before that happened.
Yeah, yeah. So 2021, beginning of 2021, so right under like my 1 year mark of playing, I actually talked to someone who was like, "Oh, you should apply for the street team." And so the street team, like that name, that's actually Prodigy. Like that's the one that
Right,
that's
right.
associated with. So someone from Prodigy was like, "Oh, you should try for this." But like my bag at the time, I think I had like 85% discraft and then maybe like one or two Prodigy discs and some other stuff. And I was like, to me, I didn't even think it was a possibility to join any sort of team, even like at an ambassador level. So I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I should look into the Discraft one. So the Discraft one is called Discraft Underground. So that's kind of like the equivalent, like the ambassador level team for Discraft. So I looked into it. I was active on all of the Discraft collector pages, as you know, from how we know each other.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to the captain, Wes Shinovar, and just kind of planted a seed, started conversation, let him know I was interested. Um, and then from there, he kind of just tracked, continued to track my social media and my progress because I actually had just started tournaments. So he made sure I stayed consistent with that. And then by June, actually, I think it was very, very end of May or beginning of June of 2021, I got a phone call from him after I had applied, and he let me know I was on Underground. So that was an amazing feeling, right? Because that was something I didn't even think was like a possibility months before. So I was on Underground, and then later that year picked up Great Lakes Disc, which is a retailer in Michigan, and then just kept competing. 2022, the very next year, I was talking to Wes again, and I was like, "What does it take to get onto Team Discraft?" Right, Team Discraft. So Team Discraft is more of the tour team. Typically, is kind of what it's like, and there's kind of like rating type thresholds, and then further requirements, on top of the underground. And he let me know what some of the things were, and I was like, I think I can actually do that. Like I think I can actually like there it's attainable things. One of the big things for me is that I don't tour full time. I'm not on tour. I work a full time typical 8 to 5 job, unfortunately, and then I just do disc golf as much as I can and I travel to what I can. So I found out it wasn't a requirement to tour full time, and that I was able to meet the requirements. So I basically worked on that for the next few months. I think maybe 3 to 4 months later, I talked to Wes again, and he let me know that I was being invited onto Team Discraft. So I had to
Nice.
hold on to that news for like a couple months, and then finally in January of this year, the announcement was official and it was out there. So
How tough is that? Be honest.
Oh man.
to not tell anybody.
Having to hold it in and not tell anyone, like the excitement you feel when you get that
Yeah.
notification.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was tough. I was like jumping around the living room just like screaming. I'm like, I can't tell anybody though. That's all I'm
Uh,
going.
Yeah,
Marcus is a
I'm
certain
glad I didn't
level
have to
with
wait.
Gateway.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I called you immediately when I found out.
Yeah,
You were the first person I called. And I like
that's
there's no way I
awesome.
could have waited. We were they let us announce it in December. We didn't have to wait until January. So I didn't have to hold on to it. But yeah, it's a really cool feeling and you just want to tell someone right away. So I can't imagine having to not be able to tell anyone.
Yeah. I was trying
For
to
those of
figure
us that
out like
struggle, sponsor ourselves. It's pretty cool. No, I like actually. I'm small, a small retail. I'm local, but like I said, I have people in Charlotte. Um, Dan Brookswells was hurt. He's not touring anymore. Justin's not touring anymore. But we have people, around, and I love having that conversation with them and our locals when we discuss how we do the sponsorship and trying to grow something. And it's from my end being someone who can sponsor someone and try to get the name out and try to help them. Like it's pretty cool for us, and it's excited. Like, but we do it a little different for our team. We don't have an application process, so we have a core team, and if your name gets brought up, then we discuss. And Marcus is a team manager, and he'll do the research and meet you and talk to you and do stuff like that, and it's pretty cool. But it's still like the experience from my end is pretty cool. And then when I see our people, like we've got people sponsored now by Infinite and RPM, it's pretty cool to help them grow and see that happening. And I
mm-hmm.
share in their enthusiasm for doing it. And I half jokingly, I don't want to knock them because this is a podcast, but I half jokingly always throw out there that I'm just going to get sponsored by Yikun. Um, it's a random Chinese disc that not a lot of people know or throw, but I just keep saying like there are some really good Yikun discs that people don't know about, and I'm
Yeah, they
always
make
like
good discs.
the low key champion that I'm going to tell people once I get sponsored by them, it's going to happen. So you do travel for your tournaments a little regional across like some of the big ones. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's mainly regional ones. Some of the A tiers within Florida, and then I'm trying to travel to more outside of Florida. I might go to River City Open, which is an A tier sponsored by Great Lakes Disc. I am planning on going to Worlds this year, which will be at Smugs, which should be a really fun experience. I'm looking at trying to sign up for USW TGC. I am signed up for Ledgestone right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that with Worlds and River City Open being kind of close, but
Yeah.
and I did a really bad job at looking the schedule before this year because there was definitely some I could have done earlier this year that was in the Carolinas because it's not too
Yeah.
far off, but I completely missed that vote. I didn't look at it. I didn't know when the registration was, and by the time I saw it, it was full. So I'm gonna do a better job at that next year, and then be able
Wow.
to go to
Yeah.
a few more I think on
It's
top.
just like what we say on our podcast. Like we're learning, right? We have
Yeah,
to know what we're doing and move forward. So you take that, you note it, and
yeah,
you try to work on it. So you
yeah,
learned your
exactly.
lesson, and next year,
Well,
I
For sure.
mean, what was it? So there was actual, I want to say a social media dispute among some of the pros who didn't register for one of the big events, and then the other pros who did get in were like, it's your job to know when to sign up, so they can't make exceptions for you. Like there's a big thing about the scheduling. So the touring
Mm-hmm.
pros, they got their touring card. Even they make these mistakes, and they don't really have it down, and that's their full time job. Like when you have a full time job and you're trying to schedule disc golf, it's even harder. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not knocking what they do. I'm just saying it's hard for those of us that do the 9 to 5 thing and then try to juggle and try to fit as much disc golf on the side for registrations
Mm-hmm.
and such.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a learning process. I didn't really know where to go for the schedules. I'm just used to, all the regional stuff. It's like disc golf scene. It's kind of right there, right? You have your filters for like how far you'll go and the tiers and everything. But when it comes to actual DGPT events, I wasn't really aware of how the schedule works. So definitely a learning experience.
Can you tell me, are you as big a fan um, of Throw Down the Mountain as Gambini is?
Wait, is he actually a big fan of it? I can't
He
remember.
is a straight
Okay.
champion of Throw Down the Mountain. Like, we tried to get him to come to LVC with us. This is the first year we missed it. We've gone like the last 3 or 4 in a row. And every time we tried to get him to come, he's always like, it's too close to Throw Down the Mountain. And I think last
Oh,
year he was like, if I go to Vegas with you, then you got to come to Throw Down the Mountain. And I was like, he'll never commit. And LVC is first. And if he was to do that, then yeah, I'd go to Throw Down the Mountain. Um, but yes, now that it could or will turn into a full time course
hmm
with Paul Macbeth taking over, now I don't have that one time a year where I have to be there. I can travel, when
hmm
it's cold as hell here and nice and warm down
yeah,
there. But yeah, he
yeah,
he loves it a lot. So
yeah.
what are your thoughts on it?
No, it's a great course. I think partially why we love it so much here is because we don't have any elevation, especially the areas that Gambo and I live in. It's like completely flat. The courses are pretty short, so it's just a really cool change for us. It's completely different from what we're used to. So
I
it is
really need
enjoyable.
to just go
I am
visit.
glad. Yeah, no, I
I'd
am
rather
glad
be
that it's
down
going
there
to
in
be
the
a permanent
flats
course.
than the elevation ones. I struggle with the elevation ones. We have some nice ones here. We have some really good
Yeah,
elevation changes. At Bond and at what Emery, yeah, those are some of the bigger ones, the bigger
Yeah.
changes. But I guess yeah, I guess you don't know what you don't have. You don't miss it until if you're flat and you have I don't know palm trees that swallow your disc,
yeah,
sand
they
where it's hard. We can't find ours in snow and yours is in sand. I guess the struggle is real.
do. Yeah, yeah. We're glad it's going to be a permanent course because when people visit this area, they usually come to Picnic Island just because there's like
Hmm.
that scenic hole one picture that's right off the beach that like everyone takes and posts. So when people come by, they're like, "Oh, which course should we play? Which course is going to be really cool?" And I mean, the courses here are great. I'm really grateful. I have tons of courses around me, but I feel like throw down the mountain, the Grand Canyon is the one where I'm gonna say like, okay, yeah, let's go meet there.
Is there's a course in Florida right that has a basket in the water? Mike
Mm,
Marcus, do you remember this? Because I think Mike Hahn went down to Florida and they had a basket that's like actually in the water, like a foot in or 2 feet. Like you're all going up to your knees to get it, but it's like the final hole or something, and it's actually in water. No, all right, I'm gonna have to
not
find
I'm
out
unfamiliar
because I
with
do
that one.
remember seeing pictures from Mike Hahn when he went down there, and I asked him if it was real, and he said, yeah, that's actually part of the course. Um, so you got the team Discraft. You're doing, but you say you're struggling, but I saw you're doing pretty well with that high score, and throw down the mountain. I don't want to get into the controversy of it because that's not what we do. I mean, you're allowed to speak your piece on it, but that the controversy is what brought this up and brought your name in here. Um, Something with Natalie Ryan, and then I was trying to look at names, and that's when I was like, okay, these people could have done better. But
Oh yeah.
so you do you play that every year? Throw down the
I've done
mountain.
it. That was my third time. I guess every year I've competed. So yeah, yeah, the past
Yeah, and
three
they don't
years.
have tee pads, right? They don't
Not
have
yet.
concrete tee pads. It's all just temporary, and you know.
Mhm. Yeah, because
Okay,
they basically every weekend is essentially a different layout during that tournament month. So they have to be able to move the pin and the pad for each layout every week.
I did not pay attention to that. I thought all the MA1 and all the MPO people had the same layout, and then I just thought FPO had a different one.
We did, but we played the same weekend. So then, like weekend one is gonna be probably like novice and rec, I think, and then the next weekend's probably like intermediate and maybe some of the other age protected. So it's like from those weekends it changes, and then
Okay.
usually our final weekend's all the same besides FPO and PO.
So your sponsorship, you said it started with Great Lakes.
Yeah, after underground was first, and then Great Lakes after that.
How did you come across Great Lakes? Because that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Brian Wolf, Wolfpack. That's those guys.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever people see my sponsors, they always ask me if I'm from Michigan. And I've actually never been to Michigan because I see
No,
all
I
the
just like to know how it is because
sponsors.
he actually came. He got family in this area. Yeah, he has family in this area. So he played a tournament here. He was on my
Yeah,
card. I met him. Super cool dude. Real chill.
yeah, yeah, really
Became
good
friends.
time.
I like following what they do. But when I saw
Mhm.
Great Lakes and then you down in Florida, I was like, how did that happen? And I had to assume the same thing. Maybe you
Yeah.
got tired of the cold and went down where it's lovely
Oh,
weather.
oh, heck no. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Love the lovely weather. Never lived in the cold. I don't think I can move out of Florida. Um, but Brian's on Underground as well. So I think he was on it before I even was, and they're kind of always keeping an eye out for people too. Just kind of like what you mentioned, right? Names come up, and then you kind of
Hmm.
scout them out and everything. So I think they kind of did the same thing. I don't know if Brian was the one, because he's also on the same pages on Facebook that
Yep,
we are.
I see him.
So yeah, so I think he might have brought my name up to Shay, who's the owner, and then they just reached out one day and kind of presented it, and we had a good conversation and just kind of took it from there.
Marcus, how did you see him when he was here for the tournament? How did you get that? And you got the hat and everything. You've been talking to him. How'd that happen?
So I heard he was from Michigan, and a certain friend of ours that I met at Ledgestone is from Michigan. So I went up to Brian and said, "Hey, do you know this person?" And he said, "Oh my gosh, do I?" And so the person I'm talking about is my arch nemesis. I won't say his name. I can tell you after.
He
Um,
he doesn't
but this
know
dude,
that he's his arch nemesis is the problem. Have we done that
no, this
episode
is
yet?
just
Didn't we
some
talk about him
random.
already?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Tell her.
But just why I just brought up this guy got so in my head at Ledgestone. We were playing Northwoods Gold. He was just ripping destroyers up and down Northwoods, like where the pros are throwing mid ranges, shots that shouldn't work, and it just got in my head and it ruined my round. It ruined my rating. It ruined my whole tournament.
And this guy has
So
no idea.
Santos
He has
died.
no idea.
This guy has no idea. So Santos dyed him like he dyed his face on a mini for me, and it's the mini that I use. Because whenever I don't know what to do, I just think, oh, what would he do? He would just pull out a distance driver and rip it.
Throw a destroyer. Yeah.
Don't forget, I dyed that destroyer because I just saw that destroyer the other day.
Yeah,
I saw the logo when I was going through my old designs for dying, and I saw the actual T Rex with a disc in his hand.
yeah.
So
That's the hint we'll
you
give on
saw
what his
him
name
out because he
is.
was from Michigan, just to ask him about him.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
really did.
Specifically, I was
Okay.
like, "Do you know this person?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I know this person."
And this is well over a year after it happened, so you know how bad he got in his head. And this is a year after it happened,
Yeah.
and
I'm like
he's
really
seeking him out
curious
about it.
if I know the name now. Like I gotta figure out who's living in his mind rent free right now.
Beachfront property. It's there and it's permanent. We're still talking about it. When we're not live or recording, whatever we're doing, he'll give you the name and see if you know the name too. But it's just hilarious that it's still happening. Um, Speaking of beachfront property, we've had this conversation with Gambo. Um, Tell us how you feel about your season and what happens in Florida because we have this thing where it's too cold to go out, and you have this thing where it's too hot to go out.
Hmm.
How does that work?
Yeah, I feel like our seasons are kind of opposite. So most of your tournaments, I think, are over the summer, right? Like it ramps up pretty.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
just started kicking off, and they're going to ramp up now here at the end of May, and then it's pretty much every week until the end of September.
yeah. Like end of May and beginning of June through like August, we don't really have many tournaments at all. I noticed there's a couple more here and there this year, but usually I think it just kind of stops. I think because it's too hot, I guess. And then August, September, it like really picks back up, and we have busy like November, December, January through your months. Yeah, there's tons of
What
tournaments here.
what about like I don't even know like a smaller flex start or something? Like you start early so that you're done before you start. Because I used to live in Orlando. I know the heat. I used to live in
Okay.
Santa and I lived in Orlando for a while. I do know the heat. I just didn't pick up disc golf until I had moved back home. I can't imagine I'd survive doing anything in that heat that was physical. So I remember it. It was oppressive heat for real. Um,
You're,
so nothing like that. Nothing short. Quick turnies in the mornings or something like that. How early do you guys start?
We have a lot of flex starts here. I feel like I don't know if that's normal everywhere. Like I don't have enough experience in other places, but I feel like we have a lot of flex starts. Um,
It's
and most
picking up
people
in
tee
other
off in the
places.
morning. Yeah.
it's a post-pandemic thing.
Okay. Okay.
Well, it's also a money thing if we're keeping it real. Like certain retailers, I'm not saying clubs, but certain retailers, right? If you can fit, instead of 72 people on the course, you can fit 120 to 140 people on the course, and you can
Mhm.
make a little bit more money doing that as a retailer that cares about that. We don't keep the money for when we only do a handful of tournaments, and all of the money goes right back into giveaways, trophies, whatever it is. Like even like the last tournament, Marcus was in the red uh, on trophies and such because he wanted to come out of his pocket to make it happen. But I did. Other people who have thrown them have told me they want to move in that direction because of the money thing, and you get more people. So I'm a
Good.
fan because I like the idea. Having traveled to some of these bigger ones, I like the idea of one round a day spread over 2 or 3 days, or even four. Like I just prefer
Yeah.
that. I don't like the two in one day, especially if it's heavy elevation changes.
Yeah. The one I just played this past weekend, I haven't done one with this many rounds in one, but it was 2 days, 2 rounds per day. So four rounds in 2 days.
Oof.
And the most, the typical is 3 rounds 2 days for what we have around here, or
Yeah.
just 2 rounds 2 days. But so that was different. It was in Orlando actually too. I know you said you weren't playing yet when you were there, but so that was I think it was a little bit much. Um, I don't know. I
Sounds
think I
like
think
it.
3 rounds 2 days I think kind of is the most that it should be for people. But
So
the
how do
flex
you roll?
starts are nice.
Bag, cart? What do you have
Flat
your
here, so I'm cart
caddy?
now. Yeah,
Cart. I don't care
backpack
if it's.
cart.
I'm gonna struggle. I'll lift my cart a few times on elevation here and there just so I can have it. Hey, Marcus knows I have two types of carts. I'm gonna try to make it work. Otherwise, I'm not yelling. I'm volunteering some of my team members to come caddy for me just so I can survive. That's
If
that's
you
key.
if you play Grand Canyon Throwdown, Gambo's gonna tell you that it's cart friendly, but don't believe him. You look silly trying to carry your cart up and down some of those areas.
I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine he would say that. Well, and that he would do
Well,
that.
he did it. Yeah, he did. He's
That.
the only one though.
Did he have a better performance this year? I remember he didn't. He struggled in one of them. Was it this year or last year? He struggled.
I don't
I'm gonna
know.
have to look. We're gonna have to just blame the cart that was this year. He had a bad showing, and I remember he messaged me after like he needed a full day to like I didn't ask him, but he needed like a full day to recover, and then he came and he messaged me, and I'm like, wow, that bad? Where is Sun King straight on mountain? Yep, it was this year.
Okay.
Yeah, ooh, ooh. Yeah, he wasn't happy with it this year. He wasn't
Me
terrible,
neither.
but yeah, it was this year. He was middle of the road. Uh, I was dumb enough to join a virtual putting league with him, and that just I was feeling really confident after our winter putting league against Marcus. So Marcus was always the bar ahead of me. He's a great player. He was always really good at putting. And then we had a winter putting league indoors, and I started beating him like regularly there. So I came into this all kinds of confident. Like I'm gonna join this virtual putting league with Mike. I'll take that. Week one just was a hard lesson to take. It was painful the way these guys can putt. It's
Hmm.
at least I beat Bob. We got Bobcat in when he said he was in. I was like, "There's no way I come in last." And I think like it was like me and then Bob. Maybe there was one other person between me and Bob at the bottom. But I guess it makes you better if like to practice. Like you're outdoors now. You're not in a gym or wherever we were.
Hmm.
Do you do a lot of virtual putting or anything like that to stay fresh, or are you just on the course minding your business grinding?
Yeah, I've never done a virtual putting league. That sounds interesting. But no, I just kind of practice putt at home around the course. I have a basket inside, like down a hallway, but it's just like putting inside is so different from putting on the course.
I'm finding that out now. Well, I mean, my putting on the course, so that part translated like from our putting league, and when we started playing our rounds, my putt during those rounds has gotten better. But
Mm.
for whatever reason, for this virtual league with Gambini and them, it's not translating. I don't even I think I missed so many from 30 and 35 in there, just too many. So I have to figure that out. But if you're interested, we'll just give you the contact information. One of our team members, Tracy, she runs a international women's only putting league.
Cool.
She has people in Canada. She had someone from Finland. Um, People up and down. So it's a nice way for women to connect, and because it's women only, no pressure, and they all have fun. I think they were up to last session. I think I want to say $900 in prizes and such. So if you're interested, no pressure. We'll just give you her information,
Yeah.
and you can connect with her. I think it's something. What she's doing is pretty cool, and I think they do two
Yeah.
sessions, at least two sessions a year. So there might be a third one somewhere in there. I haven't tracked, and that's my fault. I should have been prepared to discuss that, but just wanted to bring that up.
Cool. Yeah.
So your disc, really cool design. Um, can I do this, Marcus? Where are we going to put a picture, up or down low? Where can we fit a picture of her disc?
I'll cover my face.
Oh, even better. I like that idea. We're going to get a picture of your toy disc. So I don't know if it was part of your negotiations or whatever you can share, but you announced it, and then you had a disc come out to help you. Not a disc, but a toy series come out. A really cool design that Marcus is going to show. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory on how you came up with that design and how things are going with those discs and how sales are going? I know they're going good because like I said, I tried to get one early, but I guess that color was just not an option.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's just a custom fundraiser disc, which I think is like probably technically different from like an actual like, tour series disc, but yeah. So I got 300 ordered, and a portion of those I got shipped to myself, kind of like for our locals. So I had 80 to 90 to myself, and then 210 went to Great Lakes Disc in Michigan, where they helped sell it in store and online. So they were down to, I think, like 30 left after a week and a half. So the sales went really well. And then for me, I was down to, I think, like 10 after that time period. I have 7 that I just kind of want to like carry around with me to different tournaments. Because sometimes people will ask, like, oh, do you have anything? So I've just kind of been holding those. And then I think the store, Great Lakes, probably is down to, as of today, I don't know. A few days ago, they told me they had 12 left. So, it went really well. I was really surprised, really happy with it, and like super grateful for everyone that bought one. The stamp, so it's a T-Rex putting at. It's supposed to be like an elevated basket, and there's a course around here, Maximo, is what people call it, and it's in St. Pete, Florida, and they put in an elevated basket there, and it is so high. Or maybe it's just because I'm really short. I'm only 5'3", so to me it's so high. But there was a tournament that I played there, and I thought I was being smart with my layup, and I put it like next to the pole, and it was the most awkward putt and the shortest putt probably now to date that I've ever missed because the basket was so high that I could not reach my hand with my disc above and drop it in. So now when you're looking at this basket, instead of looking at one straight on where you have this much space to put your disc in, now you're looking at it at an upward angle where you see the bottom of the basket and the top rim of the basket. And now you have this weird angle and this much space to put your disc in. And I didn't know what to do, and I missed that putt. So that was embarrassing. But so I'm a little traumatized by elevated baskets.
I'm trying to think of the physics of how that is even supposed to work. So
yeah.
I'm sending.
I think I've been here.
Marcus.
I've played most courses. I've played most of the courses in Clearwater, St. Pete area. Mm-hmm. Just I have family that lives around there. So I'm pretty confident I know the course and basket you're talking about.
The elevated one is somewhat new. Like this year, they put in the elevated one.
Oh, maybe I
It
don't.
was elevated before actually, but they made it a lot taller.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Marcus, if you know the rule. We talked about it once before or a couple times about what the elevation like. Is there a minimum or something from the ground or something? I think Nate likes bringing that up. Like, isn't there a regulation on how high you can have them if they're attached or whatever?
Yeah, there is. I think you need a waiver if you're going to sanction your tournament over a certain height. You need a waiver from the PDGA to allow it,
Oh,
I believe.
okay,
Mm.
all right.
Cause I do
I
think there
mean,
are taller ones, right? There's one at I think the course Rock Hill in South Carolina. Isn't there one that's like extremely like even more
there
elevated
was
than that?
Yes.
in Vegas. They did one on the short course. They did away with the short course for LBC this year, but last year they had it, and it was full 15, 16, or something like that on the short course. And I think it was the basket was about 6 feet high, Marcus. Like I had to reach up myself. I'm 6'2". I couldn't reach over the top and just grab it. Like I had to flick it out, and it was tied with a string from the to a tree and to the ground to try to keep it. So I think that's one of the tallest ones I've had to put on because it was just yeah it was even from like 10 feet out. You're like I don't know if I'm gonna go for that. That's pretty high. Like I mean I did because I run everything. That's why I'm an amateur, but it ended up OB. So I'll take that hit, but that usually happens. Risk reward, but I don't mind elevation changes on the baskets as long as you make it easy to get to them and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stairs, like plan accordingly. If it's on a hill or something, like plan accordingly. Help people out. The struggle is real. Not everybody's six
Yeah.
foot. I
They're putting
honestly I didn't know you were that short, and you have a volleyball background too. I was surprised at that. I thought you were a little taller from the photos or whatever, but
yeah,
good luck.
no. Thanks. They put in stepping stones for me so that I could at least get my disc out.
I mean, have
And
you
then
thought
it was
about
just a lesson learned.
which cart do you have? Do you have the one that like getting the cart that actually has the seat, the metal seat on the top, and you can stand on that?
Yeah, it's a Zuka backpack cart, so I could do that. Um,
I mean,
and then
there's
it's just
some of
kind
them
of
that are
like
basically dollies that you drag your bag with you, right? And then there's the
yeah,
ones that
yeah,
actually have
a
like
seat.
a seat. And
Hmm.
what's the one that Ricky has? I think I want that one next. Ridge
The
roller.
Ridge Roller.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Oh
a bigger
yeah.
guy, and the Ridge roller is a bigger cart and a bigger seating area. Um, I have what do I have? I have Rovic, which has the little
You have a
bicycle
Rovic?
style seat. Yeah,
Here we
and
go.
then I have another. I have the
Oh.
Zuka. That one I have a lot of kids, so that one just feels like I'm pushing one of my kids. It's like natural, like a stroller. Like I'm just walking with
Hmm.
my stuff. I've actually walked through airports with that. Actually, walked literally like I'm pushing a kid, and it's my whole setup just like that. I walk it to the plane, and then I have them throw it at the bottom because I do not want to lose that cart when I travel. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yeah, so actually that's pretty cool. Marcus, did you get the text I sent you?
Yes, I did.
That's a pretty cool disc, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to call it a shameless plug or request or whatever it is, but you said you do have a couple and you do still sell some. You got a handful left. If I could try to work with you after this to get one, it'd be cool to get one of yours for the collection with your autograph on it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
even if like the color doesn't really matter, black I have a full collection, but having autographed ones are pretty cool. I can put that in the autograph section. With Paige and everybody else that I got. I only throw one autograph one, and that was JC because I saw Conrad at LVC while I was running, and I didn't have a disc, but it's one that I throw like a lot. My hex, my Superman hex.
Hmm.
So I was like, "Can you sign this?" And that's the only one. When I get a signature, I usually put them to the side. I don't like throwing them after they've been autographed. I'm weird
Yeah.
like that though. People think it ruins the value of a disc. I think it's gonna turn soon. It's gonna be just like other sports that when you have their autograph, it's going to mean a little bit more because it's just that's the way it should be in sports, right? Like this is the only sport where they say it loses value.
Hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of value, that wall behind you, we're just going to talk about it really quickly. You got some nice four times. I see some fierces, yeah. That the women's
Fierces.
championship, that the color glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, we were off camera and we talked about it. You're collecting. You kind of slowed it down, thinned out a little bit of it, but how long were you collecting? Like, was it instant? Um, did you get all of them from Gambini because he has all the four times in Florida? How did that work? How
Yeah.
did that start for you?
Yeah, I actually haven't gotten any from Gambo, and I just like I didn't even know that he had all these really nice ones. I just see him post them all of a sudden, and I was like, I had no idea you had that. Like, where did that even come from? But no, I started in like probably a year after I started playing, um, and it's kind of crazy when you think back at some of the discs that you had when you first started, and you were just kind of like
Oh,
recklessly throwing and like drawing on probably like when we first got our discs and we were writing our names on them, and it was like, and just thinking about some of the ones that they were and some of the ones that we got rid of, like, yeah, that was a lot of money. But anyway, yeah, 2021 collected a lot. Probably first half of 2022, so probably about a year and a half. I accumulated everything pretty quickly. I was like really into the four time stuff, some 2020 Lunas, um, and then it got to be kind of a lot. There's obviously some that you can see back there. I have a really hard time getting rid of any of the four time stuff. But I started trying to get rid of some of the others that at the time I just thought looked, like pretty cool. And I'm trying to keep it down to basically four time stuff and things that I actually would also throw. So there are some five time throwers that I have, or kind of like cool passions and things like that. So I still hold on to that. So I got rid of a lot, but I still probably have a few hundred discs.
yeah, Marcus can feel your
You
pain.
got to try throwing the four times though.
I bag a four
What?
time zone.
There you go.
Um, yeah.
No, four time buzz. Those are money.
So
The four time zones are still pretty damn good.
there, I do love the four time zone. Four time buzz. I bagged one forever ago, and then I lost it in a palm tree at Maximo, and we spent 2 hours looking for it. And when we found it, I put it back on the shelf because I was traumatized.
You almost lost it. 2 hours. That's dedication. That is so. It wasn't a four
Yeah.
times, but the one disc that I absolutely loved the most was my Hades. Um, it was a proto Hades, and when I lost it, I saw where it went, and I saw the water, and I contemplated for 5 minutes or so, like, am I gonna do this? And then I ultimately said no. Like, if it comes back to me, it was meant to be. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, that's just me. Like, I didn't spend that much time. But yesterday, when I threw my fierce in the water, my crystal fierce is like when there's tailwind or low wind, it's my go-to approach for laser straight, just throwing it at the basket. And I just missed the basket, a little high and right. And there's not much room behind it. It was hole 11, Marcus. There's not much room behind it before it falls off into the water. So we spent like 3 or 4 minutes, but it's during league. And I went back with my son and his friend, and we spent 20 minutes really. And I was offering my son a disc to go in the water and grab it for me because I knew I had seen it where it landed, but it's murky, so the sand and everything dug up and covered it, so we couldn't see. So you had to physically. Ultimately, I got it with a disc retriever that had the catcher on the end, but
Hmm.
I was surprised actually when we were driving home. He was like, "Why'd you spend that much time on that disc?" His friend was asking. He's new. He's like, "Why'd you spend that much time on a disc?" I was like, "You have to understand discs. I can't just explain it to you. This is. I think it's their Player of the Year one. It's a red Crystal Fierce. I
Okay.
just I
Yeah.
love it. I throw it like everywhere. So I don't
Yeah.
want to lose that. But yeah, I don't have an expensive bag. Jeremy Roke.
Yeah.
He's a collector. Yes.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
has an expensive bag. He has no problem throwing his four time buzzes, zones. Like, obviously, Gambo said it to me before. Like, you got to treat yourself sometimes with some of the stuff that you collect and you throw. That's why I
Hmm.
have a 2018 Sexton Firebird in my bag. Um,
Mm.
that's when I initially got into everything with Gambo, and he was teaching me everything about collection. and I really liked that Firebird. I had an OVC one, and I had a bunch of 18s. And he said, treat yourself. Like, these are gonna be nice ones. Keep a couple for yourself. And I bagged one, and I held on to it. They're really nice. And Marcus, was it you who made the mistake of giving up some 15s for really cheap? Who was that?
Gambini sold them for like a couple hundred a piece for 15s, but that was in like 2017 or 2018.
Yeah,
They've
was
like
when I gave him up.
doubled or tripled
Yeah.
in value.
Triple. Yeah, he was like, I can make a little bit of money on these, and he sold them, and then he found out later on if he'd have held on to them, college is paid for his kids. That's insane. That's insane to think of. All right, so Marcus, you got anything else for Nid? We've held her up pretty long here on this, and you've been quiet. You're just sitting there as the
No.
audio man, chiming in for like 4 words this episode.
Yeah, you guys had a good dialogue. It was going really well. So I think you hit a lot of good talking points. I don't know if Nid wants to plug her socials, anything else. I'll include all the socials in the description as well. They're above her head for some of them, and then I'll include her link tree in the description below for everything else.
And remember, guys, Great Lakes Discs, the website, they have a few more of her discs left. Do you remember the run? I forgot. I know it was Hades because that was the one that I was trying to get. But what else do you have?
I think they have buzzes, scorches. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know what's left. There was 6 molds left last time I checked, and like I think a couple of each left. So
I've had a Scorch in and out of my bag a few times.
which
run? First run.
Okay.
I got my hands on a first run Scorch. I threw it a few times. Somebody else got one in a trade, saw me throwing it, and just gave it to me. It was Schmo. He was like, you like Scorches, and he just walks over and he just gives me one. I'm like, that's cool. So I have 2 of them, and then I throw it in and out. For me, it's a straighter disc that just finishes with enough fade in between like a Hades and a Zeus. But now with the big Zeus, I'm finally breaking that in, and it kind of replacing that for me because that thing turns more now that I beat it in pretty well. I hit a lot of trees here. I'm just going to go ahead and admit that.
If you break in that first run Scorch, that one's my favorite run so far. If you break it in, it's super nice because it's straight and it's a really late turn, but usually always finishes unless it's some stupid headwind or something.
It would be nice to find something with a late turn like that. I tried that with a Trilogy Vandal because we have a team member who does that. His name is Nate, and he doesn't have a forehand, but he has so many nice discs that have that late turn. And I'm like, how do you do that? And I've been trying to find something. I mean, closest thing I have is just waiting for like a beat-in Hades or something to just like fight out at the end or something like that. But I've never been able to find one, so it will be nice. Maybe I will put it back in and try to beat it up a little, or give it to one of the more experienced players that play more and tell them to beat it in a little for me. Before you go, that brings up a good question. You had DX. Did you jump into Discraft right away, or is it something that drew you to that, like the plastic, the designs? How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't really know how I got more and more into it. I can't remember. I think it might have had a lot to do with the different groups that it was on. And I mean, the plastic I think it is like attractive to a newer player sometimes, especially now, because I think it has gotten crazier and crazier over the past very few years that I've played, even, like the colors and the swirls, and then you get like some ESP that has all these shimmers in it, and just like it's really unique. And some of the other brands seem like they're trying to kind of get there, like even Prodigy with like some of their Spectrum stuff, but it's really hard to say Prodigy without making like a flashing joke or something. And then like I don't know, so it's and then Discraft was like their stamps. Yeah, so and I think one of my first drivers was a Big Z Heat. So and then and I had a Buzz and some other Discraft discs, so I just kind of stuck to that. And then I got my brother into the game a few months after after I started playing, and he also just for some reason liked Discraft and was like on the pages too. So we just kind of stayed with it. I think like on Facebook, the different collector groups, um, the Discraft ones just kind of felt like a online family in a way.
Yeah, you
That
can definitely say it just hits different. It is a
yeah,
completely different atmosphere for that because I
yeah,
immediately joined all of them when Gambo was
mhm,
like, find this one, and this one, and like
mhm,
I'd say MVP is a close one because of our relationship with Dan Brooks Wells. We do a lot with MVP, but it's not my preference. It's always go to Discraft, and like Innova is not even like really a thing like Trilogy. So I definitely feel that with
yeah,
that being a family, especially the Macbeth and Fierce page. If I
yeah, yeah,
whatever we call
yeah.
it now,
Yeah, that was a big part of it, I think, and because I look back and I think part of what helped me get on Underground and kind of develop throughout Discraft is because I posted a lot on those pages, not just like sales posts, but I shared a lot of like my journey on those pages. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I was posting like videos of me throwing because like looking at it now, I'm like that looked terrible. But it kind of it helped show, I guess, the progression in the end. But everyone made me feel comfortable enough to be able to share that with them, which is something that's really cool.
yeah, we've talked a few times. It like the socials are huge for anybody
Mm-hmm.
watching, and you just assume you have to be a rating to get sponsored or you have these targets. Like really get into your social media. It's what we try. This is why we're doing this. We're trying to gain. We're trying to grow. We're trying to help our team members do stuff like that. You know, we have Jeff, one of our team members. He's tied to our page, our channel, while he tries to grow stuff. So, I mean, for anyone out there, you can hear from her stories. Socials help. Like, just get involved. We keep making the mistake, honestly, especially me and my team. We made the mistake of introducing team tags. We just did this very recently. So we have ranked within the team, and like all the cameras went away. Like nobody's taking photos or posting or nothing's happening because everyone's talking shit to each other, and everybody wants to figure out what the tag order is going to be if they lose.
Yeah.
Um, I I lost in the rain soaked. I got this from Marcus. I have one. This is the first iteration. Oh, you can't. The light. It's a skull because
Yeah.
D2DG is a skull. But there is a little message on here. Whenever you're last, you get the DFL tag. And I actually have it now. But yeah, the phones went away. Like legit. So everybody's super competitive now. And we're not posting
Mhm.
as much as we should. But we really try to focus on that. Sully's going to help us with that. So
Mhm.
that's really how I feel like I got to know you is because we never spoke in person. You were on the pages, I was on the pages. We've had interactions and sales with each other. You were able to run some and offered to run some of the waffles and such on some of the pages. Um, so yeah, it helps. I mean,
Mhm.
you can make really good friends in all parts of the country or even the world. You know, somebody from Finland or somebody like that, Canada, that are
Yeah.
doing it. It really helps. So
Mhm.
I'm really glad that I was able to meet you on here and
Like.
kind of watch your journey as you were posting it. Like I've only been playing for just a little bit more time than you. I think like before you started, I started the October or November before that, I think. So I've been playing around the same amount of time you have. Um,
Mhm.
but I was nowhere near socials or anything like that. I just wanted to get to know as much as possible. It was a cheap sport that I could go ahead and join. It's like I was like, um, I remember my nephew. Like, I was probably 9 months, 12 months, and my nephew Tonio was like, "What happened with being a cheap sport?" I'm like, "You don't get it, man. You just don't get it. Like, you have to feel the plastic, you have to see the plastic, you have to know what it's about, and just grinding on waffle pages to start, and hoping to get lucky, and then starting to stare at your computer and having a clock tick down so you're on that website when it clicks 00 because
Oh my
at
gosh.
10 seconds in your ass out like what just happened. It was
Mhm.
like it was a problem for me. I'm glad I
Yeah.
had started to go into retail because I was spending way too much time trying to be
Yeah.
on those drops. I had my girlfriend helping
Right.
me.
Yeah.
She's trying to get, because you know, remember they limit them, you get one or two a piece. So I have
Mhm.
her helping me, I have a cousin helping me, and like everyone's trying to get in. Like, who got one? And when we all strike out, there's just no
Yeah.
worse feeling
You're
than
like
that.
pissed because your like Apple Pay didn't work or something like that.
Yes, yes. Or even when you have it set up for auto to do everything as
Mhm.
much as possible, you'll still get "Is this you?" confirmation. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
fucked. You just stop at that point. Just drop your phone. Get off your computer. You're not getting anything.
Making
Uh,
me pick all the pictures of the freaking stairs. Don't have time for this
or the
shit.
bikes one is the worst. Like
Yeah.
you got a rim on half of one. Does it count or does it not? I don't know. I remember very specifically almost breaking my phone over a Brody drop because I knew those were going to be worth some money. I think it was his first Get Freaky,
Oh
um,
my gosh.
and I like literally like had my phone in my hand, staring at my concrete floor where my shop is in the basement, and I'm like ready to throw it, and I'm like, this is getting out of control. So I start hitting up friends, and you know how that goes. Did you get one? Did you get an extra one? I'll try to give you some, retail plus, and nobody wants to help because everybody's flipping them.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy where all that's
That was
gone
rough.
now, but that's a whole other conversation.
That was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
All right,
again, I'm glad. Thank you for joining us. But
I got one more question, and we can cut this. 100% we can cut this. You said the first time you went out was on a date. What went better, your disc golf career or the date?
good
They're
question.
both. I guess it's equivalent. We're still together, so yeah.
Oh,
There you go. Wait, did he play
What?
first, or did you guys find it at the same time?
He played beach volleyball too. We used to play some co-ed tournaments together. Met through beach volleyball, and then both kind of just like got out of beach volleyball and both compete in disc golf now.
You can't write it better than that. You just can't. It was right around the pandemic. You're giving up one sport together. You're going to another sport together, and you both enjoy it as much as you do. You can't write
Yeah.
it any better than that.
I
But
was
yeah, we're
telling him
leaving
like,
that
"Oh,
in
you're going
definitely.
to play disc golf again?" Like, yeah. So we have fortunately
Yeah.
don't have
See,
to.
I personally am lucky. I don't have that problem. My girlfriend doesn't play. Like in the beginning, she was interested, so she has a bag. She's got some fierce, some passion and stuff like that. We have
Mhm.
a small one now, so she can't get out as much. But
Mhm.
I'm so lucky. Like she never questions if I'm going to play disc golf. She just assumes it, and then we try to plan around it. And then
Mhm.
like I'm surprising her if it's not disc golf related or something. But she fully supports what I'm trying to do because she wants to be one of my first employees when I get a brick and mortar. 'Cause she follows it. Like I said, she follows. She loves Eagle McMahon, and she follows like the storylines and she watches it. She just doesn't have time to play. So I'm super lucky, but I play with plenty of people who are like, sorry, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say girlfriends because boyfriends do it too to the ladies where they just don't want to play. They want to do other stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah.
how much disc golf is too much disc golf? Who knows the answer to that question? Maybe that's next
Question.
week's podcast. How much disc golf is too much? Is there such thing? Right? Like,
Yeah. My
if you're trying to
brother.
build and if it's just recreational, maybe once a week or whatever, some leagues. But if you're trying to build
Mhm.
something, man, and your body can take it, like grind, get
Mhm.
out there and
Yeah.
play.
You have to
Or
with
if you
how
know you can't
competitive it
play
is
in
now.
3 months of the year, you got to fit it in the rest of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother, he tries to play with us when he can, but yeah, his wife doesn't play, and she's fine with him going to play, but he, she gets tired of it because when we're all together, we just talk about disc golf, right? Just like what's wrong with our form, what we're trying to fix, and then like we'll
Yeah,
be doing
yeah.
something like unrelated to disc golf, and then all of a sudden he's sitting there and you just see him, and he's like just practicing the motion, and then you look at her and she's like, seriously, like what are you doing right now?
I'm s-
Like,
I'm so glad. We had a team member join after one of Sully. This is the story of Sully joining us. We went to Dairy Queen after one of the tournaments, and we're in line at Dairy Queen, and he's doing the exact same thing that you just did. Like after the tournament's done, I think he actually won that tournament. He might have won. I think his first tournament was at ours, and he did the exact same thing. We're in line. It's me, him, my daughter, her boyfriend Justin, and he's just doing this thing, and then doing his practice throw, and I was like, I think I think this guy's gonna join us. I told my daughter that like he was a really cool guy before that, but I was like he belongs with us, and we had a talk, and it was a really quick talk, and everybody was like, yeah, Sully's coming on this team, and I like seeing stuff like that. I was with
yeah.
my girlfriend at Dollar Tree, and she was getting some crafts because she's super crafty and decorating. And there was this oval. Think of a like a, I don't know, styrofoam, almost like a swim noodle but thinner. And it was about this big and it was oval. And she needed one, so I grabbed one. And I look at her and I look at the basket. I look at her, I look at the basket, and I just start sizing it up for a putt. And she's like, "What are you doing?" So I putt, it hyzers. I grab another one, and I like 3 times down the aisle, I'm putting these things into the basket. And she didn't get upset. She did not get upset. She was loving it. She was gonna try to take a picture or something probably to make fun of me. She calls me a nerd because of it. Like, call me whatever you want. If I see an opportunity to disc golf something, I'm gonna do it. So, is your boyfriend MPO?
Yeah, he's playing MPO now. He's working
Nice.
on it. Yeah.
So, not a lot of chances to caddy for each other when you're doing like local tournaments. You're playing around
Yeah.
the same time, but when you travel, yeah, that's
Yep,
cool. That's
usually.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Or some people, it's awesome. Some people, their significant other telling them what to throw doesn't work so well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we'll bicker sometimes about that. It's
Yeah,
I'm like, are you
that's our
serious?
Tracy
Like,
and
do you
Eric.
know what this disc does? Like, that's not the one. Like, what?
Yeah, that's our Tracy and Eric. Tracy's like, I didn't want to throw that one, and that's why I didn't want to throw that one. And you just see them go at it, and I'm like,
Right.
all right, yeah. Sometimes it
Yeah.
helps to hear. Marcus is my go-to caddy. He has no problem telling me I'm an idiot, and he tells me I suck, and what do you like? Like he's old. I have a son his age, and he still talks to me like a kid. He's like, "What I tell you? What are you doing? Put that down." I'm like, "Why do you talk to me like that?" Like, just to talk me down on some things. But yeah, he's my go-to caddy because he's helped me build my bag through the years. He gives me discs, or we talk, and we help. The team helps each other. But it's nice to have that one person that can help me. And I'm like, what disc? I remember I was struggling, and Dan was like, "Put everything away and just start throwing a river." I was like, "Well, that was nice. I guess I'll just throw a river because it was working that day." But yeah, I'm sorry. Still going on tangents. We were gonna end this like 20 minutes ago, but we're still talking. Is this wrap it up? Is that the signal, Marcus? Since you're not talking.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, it was actually a real good pleasure meeting you, discussing what's going on. Marcus, I'm not gonna let you talk now because you didn't talk the whole time. So I'm gonna wish you well for Marcus. um, it would be really nice if you would come back and join us. I would like to have you and Gamble on when things die down in Florida when it's too hot, and maybe when we're kicking things off, and we're trying to learn from this. So we're trying to move and do stuff from different locations, or even try to do something if we end up at Worlds. Actually, if you end up at Worlds and we end up at Worlds, maybe we can meet up and do something. So
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to go to Worlds, but Marcus is moving down to South Carolina, so that may alter his ability to come back up at that time frame. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I was gonna say,
Well,
I can hit you up for the good tournaments in North and South Carolina, and you can tell me when to come down to Florida, and we'll keep each other in check.
Heck yeah, for sure.
yeah. My daughter lives with her boyfriend in Charlotte, and Bobcat's in Charlotte. So Marcus is going to be really close with them and keep in contact with them. So he definitely keep in touch to let you know what's going on there because everyone's moving there. All the pros are going there. It's really, I love it. I go there. I drive there a lot. That's my limit is like a 10-hour drive, and I do it overnight in one shot just to make it easy and done with. And then I'm dumb enough to try to play like one of the courses as soon as I get there. But I just love, that's how much I love the Charlotte disc golf. I don't know why. As much as I hate trees, when I get to Charlotte, it just feels different, and I just love playing there. So hit him up, and you guys can connect on socials or whatever, and maybe we can get Marcus away from Gateway. No, I'm just kidding, Marcus. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give you back that disc that you gave me. It cut my hand again. It's a weird disc, dude. So Marcus said your socials. We'll get those posted. Any discs, your other sponsor. We'll try to get people to the website for Great Lakes and Brian. Am I missing anything else?
No, I think everything's in the link tree. So I've got some codes in there that would get you discounts and help support me. So
We love
thank
to
you.
hear that. Not only supporting someone, but getting a discount while you do it. That's why I like helping Gambini. We get the discount and we help him. So that's really cool. We'll share all that. And again, if you'll join us, we appreciate you being here. Keep an eye out for the socials for Tracy. If I can remember for the putting thing, if you're interested, let me know, and we'll work something offline for me getting a hold of one of your discs. Cool?
Okay. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of your season, and we'll talk again hopefully soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Thank you, Marcus, for visiting.